Today, we're going to explore a story, a timeless and really cautionary tale. It's about how that noble fire of righteous anger can, if we're not careful, twist itself into the consuming darkness of revenge.
The story we're exploring today, it begins with a difficult truth. That life's greatest storms, they often gather on the horizon, when the skies seem the clearest, when we feel the most safe.
This ancient story, which you'll find in the book of Genesis, it doesn't begin in chaos. It actually starts in a moment of profound peace, a peace that would turn out to be tragically fragile.
I mean, just imagine this scene. After a long, bitter family conflict, two brothers, Jacob and Esau, they finally embrace. It's this beautiful picture of reconciliation. You'd think a whole generation of hatred was finally over.
And it's right after this epic moment of peace that the camera, so to speak, zooms in on something small, something that seems totally insignificant, a single sense that's about to change absolutely everything.
A young girl, Dinah, Jacob's daughter. She simply steps out of her tent, wanting to visit the women of the land. And in that one, simple, ordinary act, the peace of an entire family is just shattered.
What comes next is a terrible crime, and then a really complicated and flawed attempt to try and put all the pieces back together.
You know, the source text here is direct. It is unflinching. It doesn't try to soften the reality of human sin. A prince of the land, a man named Shechem, saw Dinah, and the text says he seized her and he violated her. But then the situation gets even more complex. The perpetrator, he actually develops feelings for Dinah. He tries to fix what he has done through marriage, telling his own father, "Get me this girl as my wife." But here's the crucial point, isn't it? The damage was already done. The sin had already happened. Some wounds, some really deep wounds, you can't simply erase them with the decision. And this is the turning point. This is the moment where that natural human response of anger starts to curdle, and it becomes something else entirely.
When Dinah's brothers heard what had happened, well, their reaction was what any of us might expect. They were deeply grieved, and they were furious. Their anger was completely understandable.
So this is what's so fascinating. The story forces us to ask this question. Is the emotion of anger the problem itself, or is the real danger found in how we choose to handle that anger? Because what happens next is just terrifying. The brothers, they take something sacred, the covenant sign of circumcision, and they use it not as an act of faith, but as a weapon. They weaponize their own religion to serve their rage.
And so the stage is set for a horrific climax, a moment where anger, wearing the mask of justice, is about to unleash utter devastation.
Their plan was so cold and so calculated. First, they offered a fake peace proposal. Then, they attached their sacred condition. They waited for the third day, the day when the men of the city were in pain and at their most vulnerable. And then, they struck.
Two of the brothers, Simeon and Levi, they walked into that unsuspecting city and they killed every single male. This had gone so far beyond an act of revenge for their sister. Anger had taken complete control, and what it brought was total destruction.
Their father, Jacob, he saw the catastrophic consequences immediately. He told them their actions hadn't brought justice. He said they had made the entire family an object of hatred and put them all in grave danger. Revenge didn't solve the problem. It created a much, much bigger one. So after all that, what is the lasting lesson from this dark and ancient story? I mean, why does it still hold such power for us today?
Well, for one, the source material doesn't hide the raw, unfiltered reality of the human heart from us. It just lays it all bare. That unrestrained desire, the shame that can follow, the white-hot fury, the calculated deception, and finally, that all-consuming fire of revenge.
And this right here, this illustrates the core conflict perfectly. Human anger can absolutely wear the mask of justice, but it ultimately creates bigger problems. It leads to destruction. True justice, this story suggests, has to be guided by a higher principle. It stands in the light, and it brings mercy, not more bloodshed. So, the crucial point, the timeless warning from this story is this. Without a moral compass, without guidance beyond our own wounded feelings, human anger will not just defeat our enemies, it will consume us. And so we're left with this, a question, not just for the story, but for ourselves, for right now. When that fire of anger burns inside of you,
What guides it? Is it justice or is it destruction?